You are listening to the Tuesday Review. I'm Nathan, as always, joined by Callum and James. How you going, boys?
Not bad.
I'm here. Callum's here.
Callum's still barely alive.
An interesting week this week. I've got a Christmas movie for the boys, I've got a classic movie for the boys, and I've got a new release movie for the boys.
Nice, good spread.
What do we want to talk about first?
Go in that order.
Okay, so what do I say
chronological. First? Christmas movie.
Oh, the Christmas movie.
Classic.
Okay. So the classic. Oh, I guess this counts as a classic and a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
If you like.
Are you going to talk about the contemporary comedy masterpiece that I'm thinking about?
Yeah, eventually.
Right.
We'll get there. So the first movie I want to talk about this week was Heat. Not the Robert De Niro 1995 movie. The original, 1984, whatever, or 6.
Yeah, 84, 85, something like that.
Burt Reynolds' Christmas classic.
Christmas classic.
It takes place over Christmas. It qualifies.
Counts.
All right? It counts. So Burt Reynolds plays like, I guess, he's somewhat just of like a hired kind of bodyguard kind of figure, right? He just does odd jobs and escorts people.
Yeah.
And he plays cards. He gambles his money away. And it's kind of really, for me, it just felt like a vibe movie almost. Like there's a villain and there's a kind of a loose plot, but really you just kind of follow him around as he does his own thing. It's not really like an action-driven narrative as such. It's just like, oh, he goes here, he does this. He goes here, he does this. He's not trying to achieve a goal necessarily. And it worked. It was kind of almost like a noir movie. It kind of sat as he kind of drank and played cards with his money he won from his job. Like it had no real kind of super strict plot, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And there was some cool action in this movie too. Good practical action, which we don't see too much of anymore.
Yeah.
Which means obviously there's no ninja acrobatics. There's nothing like that. It's just standard action, but it's very effective.
Well, I was going to say in the 80s there was a lot of ninja acrobatics if you're watching specific kind of movies. True, but yeah, I know what you mean. There's no like real fantasy.
Yeah, exactly.
Matrix fighting or anything.
There's one cool scene where he's fighting for his life in one scene.
Yeah.
And he like sprays petrol on a guy, and then he hits a light fixture and the light sparks and it catches the guy on fire. Awesome. And it's just like practical kind of like, you don't kind of see that sort of stuff.
Practical murder, yeah.
Yeah, practical murder, that's it.
Violence.
Yeah, practical violence.
Just good old fashioned killing a guy.
Yeah, just good old fashioned killing, just as we like. That didn't go through, so obviously some troubles with the soundboard.
Yeah, soundboard's not working. Oh, we didn't turn it on, that's why.
We didn't turn it on.
Bam, bam. I do a ba-bow. Now, the problem is, the more sounds we have, the harder it's going to be to find.
Yeah, I need to find a way to group them into like...
Yeah, and also Nathan's the only one who can reach the thing, so he's basically in control of when it happens. And if me and Callum want something to be played, it can't be spontaneous. We have to go, Nathan, play this.
There is a mobile app for this program we're using, but all the files are local. So there might be a way we can sort of adjust it.
Yeah.
But I'll have to
I'll see if we got a splitter. I wonder if that will work if I put one in my phone, one in your laptop.
I don't know. We'll work on
anyway,
that. Yeah.
It's only the second week.
Yeah, but still,
Skill issue.
Yeah, correct. Thanks for that.
It is a skill issue. But anyway, so Heat. I'd never seen this classic film before, and I really enjoyed it. What did the boys think of Heat with Burt Reynolds?
Well, I haven't seen it. I think calling it a classic is...
I don't know if it's the first movie to have this trope at the start where Burt Reynolds loses a fight, and then at the end, the other guy pays him for getting... beaten up in front of his girlfriend to make him look tough by beating up Burt Reynolds.
Okay.
Kind of, I've seen that.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen it.
I've seen that in kind of like, in referential kind of form before, but I'm not sure. I didn't look it up. I'm not sure. I'm guessing that kind of trope maybe started with.
I don't think so.
No?
It feels like yeah, but I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it did. But yeah, no, I don't know how to explain it. I love Burt Reynolds movies. Like, I'm just a big Burt Reynolds fan, but he's not, I don't really love him. He's not my favorite actor or anything.
He's not a good actor in this movie. I'll be completely honest with you.
He's like, his 70s and 80s movies were just like fun.
Yeah,
he had movie. Smoking the Bandit.
Yeah.
And, all these cool movies, and they just kept coming. And then he had all those action movies in the 80s. So yeah,
like, it is a fun movie, but he's not like he doesn't act well, particularly in this movie. But that's kind of also part of the movie. Like it's not meant to be like he's just
it's just
following
an
the dude.
80s action movie, yeah.
But so that was a good time.
And technically it's a Christmas movie.
And it is technically a Christmas movie, which is why I paid it special attention this week. The other movie, I guess we'll call it another, what is it, 90s, 80s classic? When did Hudson Hawk come out?
93, 94?
Yeah, so I really enjoyed this movie. James is getting his notes ready.
No. I'm looking up when exactly it came out.
But I really enjoyed it. It's Bruce Willis doing like a slapstick comedy routine, basically.
So I mean, we should say like Hudson Hawk is notoriously like a flop, like a huge flop. 1991.
1991, yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean,
it's Hudson Hawk is like the title is synonymous with like a big Hollywood flop.
I think it flopped because they try and insert. For some reason, they wanted this to be an R-rated movie, right? It didn't need to be.
I think yeah. I mean, yeah, you go on and then I'll talk about it.
I think in terms of what you said with the flop, I think it flopped because there's a lot of. We'll say
one of the reasons I don't hold it in such high regard as you is because it is so tonally inconsistent. I'm like, what is this movie? And not in a good way. I'm like, 1 minute it's like a slapstick comedy.
Yeah.
Next minute it's a musical. Minute after it's like an R-rated action movie. Next minute it's like an Austin Powers goofy kind of spy parody. And then it ends up being like this weird Indiana Jones adventure thing. I'm just like, what is going on?
I loved it.
Yeah, I saw your review on Letterboxd and 4.5 stars out of 5.
I might have to. That's maybe a bit too high. I might have to revise.
When I saw that, I'm like, that is such a classic Nathan score for a movie like.
I think 4.5 is nearly perfect. It's not perfect. I'm going to revise it.
Yeah.
But I'll give it 3.5. But I didn't intend to give it 4.5. Must have misclicked, but because it has problems. And
you're backtracking.
I'm backtracking a bit. All right, I'll walk it back. Because no movie, unless it's a classic, should be 4.5. But like bonafide classic. So I know you don't like ratings.
No. This is exactly what I was about to say. Is last week we even talked about I don't really like rating, star ratings or letter grades, but I went through the last month of movies I watched on Letterboxd and I just instinct clicked on what star rating I felt. And the last 3 movies I watched, I just
feel differently.
No. The last 3 movies I watched, I intentionally like clicked on a star rating just based on my feeling at that moment. And I tried really hard not to overanalyze it because I tend to do that. Like, what does 5 stars mean against 4.5, against 4, against 3, Oh, I love this movie as much as this movie, but they both can't be 5 stars because this one's technically I was just like, what am I feeling when I finished watching it? Bam. So, and I actually gave a lot of movies 5 stars because, like, I'm not going to screw around. Terminator 2, 5 stars. Jurassic Park, 5 stars. Like, I'm not going to go, but that scene, no.
A movie can be 5 stars for different reasons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm trying to be better about just like bam, bam, bam.
Not feeling it.
And I can always change it in the future, or if I watch it again, the rating can change. And I've also started in the last couple of movies to put little tiny reviews, which is a big step for me because I don't like really...
I did enjoy the just little emoji reviews you put on.
I saw you stole that from me.
Just like when I can, yeah. I thought I enjoyed it.
I was like, that was just my way because Callum said he couldn't comment on my Minari review unless I actually wrote something down.
Yeah.
So I figured if I just had emojis relating to the movie, one, it would open it up for comments if like someone wanted to, even though it didn't say anything. And 2, it's a fun little Easter egg for people who have seen the movie to know what the emojis mean. But then I stopped that because I was like, I don't want to think of the emoji. It is a bit funny. But the last couple of movies I saw, which I'll talk about later, I've been trying to star rate and do a little review just to sort of get out of my own head and so if people do follow me on Letterboxd, they can sort of see where I'm coming from and not just see that I watched this movie
But no, I do think Hudson Hawk's a really good movie. I just, as you said, the tonal inconsistency is the issue. If they had either got rid of most of the swearing or kind of...
I agree, yeah. It's not off. It's not the worst movie ever. It's just baffling how kind of inconsistent and ups and downs and weird it is. And like I said, it's one of those movies that you hear about, oh, it's this legendary flop. What were they thinking? And so when I watched it, I was like, oh, I get why people feel that way. But it's like, it's a fun time. It's an enjoyable time.
I just feel like if this movie came out today on, say, like Netflix or something, it would be massive. Like, I feel like it would be one of those
streaming hits. If they made it today,
hits.
it would be Ryan Reynolds. Everything would be CGI. And
that's another thing. This movie has a lot of great practical stuff in it.
Like it's like this crazy, like there's this bit where they're jumping off the roof or something. I'm like, they don't make movies like that anymore.
Yeah. Bruce Willis is on like a stretcher out of a fake ambulance.
Oh,
like,
that's my favorite part, right?
Yeah.
My favorite joke in the whole movie. And the movie's like jokes and then not jokes and then serious and then not serious. And it's like a lot of the jokes don't work.
Yeah.
The best joke in the movie that made me laugh so hard is when he's on the like a hospital gurney and he's rolling down the street and he's like can't control it and he's going towards the toll bridge. And so he looks in his pockets and he just grabs a whole fistful of quarters and just throws it at the toll machine. And all the coins just go everywhere. And so the barrier lifts and he can go through without crashing. I'm like, that shit was funny. That was like Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing. Is like the movie's like a Looney Tunes wacky cartoon, live action cartoon. But then it goes like weirdly serious. And then it's the musical and then this and then that. And I'm just like, what the hell's going on? And not in a good way, because sometimes I like going, what the hell's going on?
No, see, I enjoyed the chaos.
Yeah, I sometimes I feed off the chaos, but it really depends on the type of chaos, I guess. Yeah.
So that's an interesting one. If you want to see my mini reviews and stars, as with all of us, we're now on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
You can follow me on Letterboxd, NathanB_90. You can follow James on Letterboxd at Channel Drifter.
Channel Drifter, all one word.
And Callum at
Callum Tuesday.
All one word, yeah.
All one word. If you want to keep up with what we're watching. The other movie I wanted to talk about is a new release. Please Don't Destroy Presents, I guess, is the correct way to describe it. Please Don't Destroy Presents The Treasure of Foggy Mountain.
So I have no idea. These guys, are they comedians?
Yeah, they're like a troupe kind of skit.
I've never heard of them.
I hadn't heard of them before
either,
today.
Oh, okay.
The movie's funny. I liked it. It's kind of a throwback to kind of like a Judd Apatow. It doesn't go as hard as like some of those MA/R-rated Judd Apatow movies back in the day.
Yeah.
It's like an M Judd Apatow movie.
Yeah, it's like a lighter kind of, not as vulgar kind of Judd Apatow. There is vulgarity and kind of lewd jokes, but it doesn't quite go as hard as those movies. But it has that spirit.
Okay.
It's about three millennials, younger millennials, like kind of basically growing up.
Like 27, 28.
Yeah, they're sort of millennials, but they're on the younger side.
Yeah.
And they're adults and they don't know how to grow up, basically. And they all work terrible job. Like they work at a terrible job.
A tuna Mart Plus or something.
Yeah, they work at like a fishing.
They work for Conan O'Brien.
Yeah, Conan O'Brien's one of their dads.
I saw. He's like the manager of the thing. He's also one of their dads.
He's great in this movie.
The only reason I would watch this movie is because he's in it. Honestly,
he's funny. He's good.
He is so good in this movie. It's amazing. And it's just like a movie about them, I guess, trying to stay friends. They've been friends basically since they were kids, trying to stay friends and grow up at the same time. And they have different goals and, there
are different stages.
Yeah, like some of the comedy misses because it's written, even though they're millennials, it's kind of written to appease the Zoomers, which is not our kind of comedy. So
there are some jokes that I thought were on brand for us that were hilarious.
Oh yeah, there are definitely some jokes that hit as millennials who have no direction in their lives. But there's some Zoomer comedy that doesn't hit. I mean, but it doesn't hit with us. Doesn't mean it won't hit with everyone else. Yeah, right. Some of the kids will appreciate.
But also, those guys don't look like Zoomers.
They're millennials.
Yeah,
yeah. They were born in like 1995, so they're not.
Okay, so they're not. Yeah,
They're not Zoomers.
They're in
but
between,
I guess
yeah.
they're in between. But a lot of that comedy feels like it was written for that market,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
fair enough. That's, they're the kids.
Well, I guess that they aim for a broad reach. You know what I mean? Like if you make a movie specifically focused on, men in their early 30s or men and women in
No,
their
I
30s,
think
like,
we talked about this one time where if you make a movie too broad, it ends up being for no one.
yeah, but it's not like when
It's
I
just for
say
younger people. Yeah,
yeah,
young
when I
people.
say broad,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's for like
Everyone.
I'm
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's clearly for people from in their early 20s to like us, like early to mid 30s
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever.
But there are like some of the stuff in this movie is just hilarious. Like you will laugh out loud very hard, James. They have a whistle.
I watched-
Without spoilers,
yeah.
There's a whistle
Okay.
that screams when they blow in it.
Okay.
And it's just
just
like
funny.
it just sounds like a scream every time they blow on the whistle.
Yeah.
And one character keeps blowing the whistle, and they're like, "Would you stop?" Like it's just funny. They're kind of like
Yeah.
that
I
play.
watched the
on-
trailer and I'm like, none of these jokes are really that funny. And there's like a CGI bird and a CGI hang glider, and I'm just like,
I don't know. Like they obviously didn't all hit, but maybe context is missing from the trailer.
That's
as
the
well.
thing is, you don't really get
Yeah.
the movie until you watch it properly. So.
Look, I recommend it. It's on Netflix in Australia
Hmm.
or Peacock in America. It's a very good time.
Look, it's lighthearted, it's fun.
Well, it's like a 90-minute comedy movie. It's
yeah,
lots
like
of loose-
it's cool to see movies like this being made because it's not a huge studio production with big star names apart from Conan, but he's a supporting name, and Conan is not exactly The Rock. You know what I mean? So it's like The Rock will draw more names than Conan will, or draw more people than Conan will. But my point is, it's these three young guys who aren't particularly famous. Like they're not like like John Higgins, for example, is like the name's familiar because he's Steve Higgins' son. But it's like the other dudes.
Steve Higgins is
I don't know any of
Jimmy
them.
Fallon's MC on the.
Oh, see, I don't even know that.
But anyway, my point is that these are the new fresh guys coming onto the scene. You know what I mean? So I mean they're famous on YouTube.
I heard something that they were on SNL or they
writers.
They wrote for SNL.
They wrote
Okay.
for SNL. Yeah.
So
it's
this
like
is probably their big breakout.
Yeah.
yeah.
movie,
So it's like they're not huge names at the moment. So it's
Yeah.
like at least the new people, new blood is coming in. So. I thought it was a good first attempt. You know what I mean? Like, especially if it's their first like film script, it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it.
I think everyone's going to struggle on their first one. It's not they're not going to. Very few writers and directors and actors are going to hit a perfect home run on their first attempt.
Yeah, I think we talked about this one time where back in the day you started off kind of all your first few movies were a bit rough, and then you really
Found your
hit.
feet.
Yeah, you found your feet. Whereas now, if your first movie isn't a classic masterpiece,
Your career
you're done.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit unfair.
Yeah, I would agree. Look, that's all I've got for this week. But first, I just wanted to say, please let us know, before we move on to the Friday the 13th movies, let us know where you would like to see Jason.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We've been active on the socials, posting Jason anywhere we would like to see him.
Mm.
If you didn't see us on the socials, so far we've seen Jason at
Hey.
the Vatican,
Yeah.
Jason at Burning Man, and Jason time traveling and riding on a dinosaur.
Prehistoric times, yeah. I was just thinking, like, now that it's coming up to Christmas, Jason at the North Pole.
Yeah.
Mm.
Write these down because we'll make them happen.
Okay.
Jason on a reindeer.
Jason on
Yeah.
a reindeer at the North Pole. Yeah, we'll make that happen. I forget who it was. Was it Ross Purdy, one of your friends?
Yeah.
He said Jason at Parliament.
That was funny. Yeah.
That was funny.
Shout out to
And
Ross.
Shout out to Ross. Also, have we ever seen Peter Dutton and Jason in the same place?
He does look like the scarred version of...
Not that we're insinuating anything.
Yeah. To the
Because
FBI.
Jason being a fictional character. Yeah. We're not trying to cause any trouble here.
Uh-oh.
We retract all comments. Okay.
What would our version be? The
ACO.
Or the
what is it?
Terrorism Task Force that he seeked on
Yeah.
federal duties? Or may or
Yeah.
may- no, that was someone else. That was,
that was John
yeah.
Bros. Yeah, Barrel. All right, we're going down the rabbit
All right,
hole.
we're going down a rabbit hole. It's
Moving
getting
on.
to be dangerous.
Where would
Let's
you
move
like
on.
to see Jason Voorhees? Let us know. And or
Also-
send us a Photoshop that you've done.
Yeah, send
or
us
a
a picture
drawing.
you've done. Yeah.
Do some fan art. I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird. Let's continue. Also, while we're in between, what people have been watching, we have started uploading older episodes to YouTube.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on our YouTube.
If you want to cringe at some,
Oh,
No,
yeah.
honestly, they're not that bad. No, have you gone back and listened to them recently?
I started listening to the first episode. I was like, wow, it sounds so different.
Yeah. But then, look, they're not as bad as I remember them in my head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do you
They're
think we
okay.
should put when they were when they were originally released in the description?
Do you have the dates?
I'm pretty sure I do.
If you have
I'll
the
send
dates,
you a list.
If you have the dates, we'll add them because
Yeah.
on Anchor, our podcast host for listeners, I can only see the dates in which we uploaded them to Anchor.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think I got a list somewhere.
But if we have the dates when they're originally recorded, I'll definitely add them into the videos.
Yeah,
that'd be fascinating.
Because a lot of it, it says like Green Book review, but it's like we reviewed that when that movie came out 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, so I'll add those if we can find them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's when we get to the modern period,
Yeah.
I guess in quotes, we can start adding them.
Yeah.
Moving on to Callum, on the subject of Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
So last week,
at James's suggestion, I decided to just finish the whole lot of them.
yeah, because you got up to Jason Takes Manhattan, which is the 8th one.
Yeah, so
And then when I was like, you have to finish him now.
I watched the rest of them. So yeah, Jason Goes to Hell. Well, what a disaster!
That movie sucks.
Like honest to God disaster.
Like-
the plot is bad. The cinematography's bad. The lighting's bad. The acting's bad. The movie's bad.
Spoiler alert: Jason's not even in it. To be honest, like
Yeah, and he gets
At the
pulled
end.
under the ground, but then they do this thing with the mask, and they're like, ooh.
that actually, when he does show up at the end, he looks cool. Where he's
Yeah.
like kind of mummified.
And is it the start where he gets killed by the SWAT
But that was
team?
dumb. That was like, you can tell they're taking the piss. And the whole, like, the thing with that movie too is like they hired this like 22-year-old guy who just got out of film school, and for some reason we're just like, here's a huge horror franchise, do what you want. And he's like, I'm going to take it out of Camp Crystal Lake. And that sounds like a great idea because that's what we were complaining. It's like Jason needs to leave. But what he ends up doing is the most boring.
Oh man, I hated it.
It was garbage. It's a garbage movie.
So then we moved on to Jason X or Jason 10.
Yeah.
Which is where he goes to. He didn't join the X-Men.
Jason in
which
space.
is what I was expecting.
Oh, he does kill David Cronenberg at the start, though.
Yeah. Jason joins the X-Men. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, Jason.
Jason
I'll
in
write
the
that
X-Men.
down.
He's got a healing factor.
He does, yeah. He technically
Yeah,
he's
he
a
can't
mutant.
Yeah, he's a zombie, I guess.
Yeah, and they exist in the MCU.
Yeah.
Well, the Marvel Comics universe.
Mm.
Anyway, that movie didn't hold up as well as I remember it holding up. I remember it being good, and it wasn't good. It was boring. You know, the one thing, all the movies I'm talking about, even the reboot, which I'll get to in a sec, I feel like they all need 10 minutes shaved off them.
Yeah, they're all. Yeah,
But Jason X felt particularly egregious. I feel like it really dragged at parts.
I think because it's also a quote-unquote sci-fi movie, like they're trying to do a lot of gimmicky things, like the Hollow Room, which has the sleeping bag reference, which I was going to talk about last week, but I didn't want to spoil it for you.
Yeah.
And it's got all the AI stuff.
Didn't feel as funny because I'm like, what makes the sleeping bag kill so great is it's completely organic.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Well, like this one's a reference, you know what I mean? It's like
yeah.
a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
I do appreciate how like just silly it is. It's like Jason goes to space. It's like, come on, man.
It should have been like Alien.
That would have been amazing.
You're barely seeing.
Yeah,
you know what
that
I
would
mean?
have been. But see, that would actually be a good horror movie.
And then when you do
none
see
of the
him-
Jason movie, none of the Friday movies are.
Yeah, but then when you do
good.
see Jason, he looks grotesque. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that would have been interesting.
But we talked about last week. There's just missed opportunities, you know.
Yeah,
the
like
whole
they already changed the nature of Jason in Goes to Hell, right? It should have been like Alien mixed with The Thing.
like yeah.
But anyway,
yeah.
onto
I don't.
yeah,
They're not even worth talking about.
onto Freddy versus, because I watched them in chronological release order.
That's how you're supposed to.
Onto Freddy versus Jason.
My personal favorite.
Again, it's not bad, which is, you know, it's not a high bar for this franchise.
Yeah.
Is this the one that has Jay and Silent Bob in it?
I thought it did. You know,
No, that's one of the Scream movies. I'm thinking.
That's
No,
a
no, no.
Scream. That's Scream
I thought
3.
it did.
No,
And then I was waiting for the cameo the whole time, and it never showed up.
no, you're thinking of
Yeah.
something
I
else
also
that's
thought
never been in.
I also thought it had When Darkness Falls in the soundtrack by Killswitch Engage, and it didn't. And these are memories I've carried with me since high school.
You're probably thinking of another crappy like 2003
100%.
horror movie. Yeah.
But these are memories I carried with me through high school, and I was shooketh. So anyway, this movie is okay.
It's sort of entertaining, I guess. It's not scary.
It's got England as Kruger, so
Yeah, Robert Englund gets to do his thing.
It's fine.
They suddenly make Jason afraid of water, even though
he wasn't afraid of water.
He hasn't been afraid of water in any.
And then you get the reboot, which is cool because it has Padalecki in it. Jared Padalecki.
Yeah,
from Supernatural and Walker Texas Ranger reboot.
Correct. Yeah, what he's really known for.
That's it. What he wishes he was really known for whatever weird reason they had a falling out after Supernatural.
Really?
Yeah, because they did like a prequel series.
Yeah,
and they didn't invite Jared Padalecki on board, but they have Jensen Ackles though. They have Jensen Ackles in some scenes, and he narrates it.
Look, to be fair to them, Padalecki didn't join. In the history of Supernatural, he was late. Like he joined in long after they became.
Dean was already doing it a long time before.
Yeah. But this is a Supernatural lore episode. And it was fine. It has that problem with the 2000s movies where it's kind of has that browny grey.
It's 2009, so it's got that late 2000s, early 2010s.
I didn't like the redesign of Jason very much.
I think
they made him too much. They made him. So I know how bad this is going to sound, listeners. I'm sorry. They made him appear too much like an intellectually disabled man.
Yeah.
Whereas before he was just a hulking menace. There wasn't any type of disability inherent to the character.
It's interesting because every like the first movie he's not in. The second movie he's like kind of a forest hermit hillbilly killer. The third one he's like more of that big tank, and then the fourth one he's like the full-on huge murder machine. And then the sixth one he's the zombie guy, but he's kind of more tactical, like he's and then from 7, 8, 9 I think, and 10 it's all Kane Hodder, the same guy.
Yeah.
And he's the big hulking guy, but he's also got like this seething anger.
Yeah.
But then Freddy vs. Jason, they wanted someone really a lot taller than Freddy, so they got another guy who's I think too tall and lanky.
Yeah.
But then what's interesting about the reboot is Derek Mears plays him, and he plays him as like he's a murder hillbilly. Like he's just like this really insane, crazy guy who has all these traps and these tunnels.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting, but I do the quote unquote best movies are 4 and 6, and my favorite Jasons are from 4 and 6, where he's just a murder tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I didn't think that was a good interpretation. Like you said, the murder hillbilly, because some of the way they characterize it makes him seem really simple, and I'm like, the good thing about characters like Jason
but we talked about with Leatherface is like that can be part of the
but like that's kind of Jason's most iconic when he's, like you said, like a silent killer. I think very focused on like just being a murder machine, not traps. And
I think personally,
that type of thing.
Jason works better as a zombie or a supernatural force than he does as a live killer. And the first, 2, 3, and 4, and he's an actually live killer. It's like it makes less and less sense. It goes on.
Yeah.
When he actually becomes the undead, it starts to make sense as this kind of weird, violent force.
Yeah.
But what I liked about the reboot, even though it's not really that good, is that it combines basically the first 3 movies into one, which is perfect because, like I was saying last week, the first 3 movies are all pretty much the same, and it's just the same thing over and over again. And he finally gets the hockey mask at the end of the third one, and it's just like, okay, finally we're into real Jason territory. And I like that the reboot was just like, we're going to do all 3 movies together in one reboot.
Yeah.
And he's going to be a murder hillbilly. Is his mother, then the murder hillbilly, then the mask. I like that aspect of... but it's not great or anything.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's better than most of them, but it's still not awesome.
Yeah, but I think we talked about last week where I was just like, it would be kind of cool if instead of rebooting it again, they just did a sequel. Get Derek Mears back because he's really cool, and he's got a good physicality for it. And like, you don't even really have to talk about the characters and that, but it's just like it's set in the sort of same universe. You don't have to reboot it. But I guess it's been such a long time.
Yeah.
It's been like 14, almost 15 years. So
we're due for another one then.
Yeah.
Well, we talk about that TV show that was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
That never did. But I mean, the Hellraiser reboot was recently. The Halloween reboots were pretty recent.
Scream.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Scream. So it has to be soon.
The Exorcist.
Yeah, exactly. And you know Friday the 13th, the new ones are going to be just as bad, if not worse.
Yeah.
So then I had a palate cleanse. I watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit in 4K, which I hadn't. I've seen the movie heaps of times, but not in 4K. Man, Bob Hoskins, what a guy!
Such a great movie.
Yeah, fun movie. You know what? Everyone's already said anything. That could be said about it.
No notes.
No notes. That's right. No notes.
Yeah. That's we should have that on the soundboard. No notes. It's just, you know, I mean, we always complain. I guess we sound like broken records or whatever, but it's like that movie is such a technical masterpiece.
Yeah.
And you know, movies now where it's just they just do things digitally, and it's just like you just shrug your shoulders and go, "Oh, they did that in a computer." It's like they had to hand draw all that animation,
and it looks great.
Mix it with live action, then do practical effects to make so it looks like 2D characters are interacting with real life 3D world and other actors. So good.
Is there like a behind the scenes making of documentary?
I think there is on the disc.
I'd be interested in watching like how it's made.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
they do things like with, you know, fishing lines and they're like pulling the thing. That's just, it's really well.
The good thing about the movie is because they shot it on film, it looks fantastic. Yeah, it looked, because, you know, the animation cells would just scale up with the rest of it.
Yeah.
It looks awesome.
Yeah.
Then I watched a Western in A Valley of Violence with Ethan Hawke and John Travolta, a revenge story. Very John Wick style about a man. I won't spoil it. But really, really cool film. Some interesting gunfights. It just looks great. I found the story to be compelling enough. It's not a spaghetti western masterpiece. It's not a Clint Eastwood movie.
It's interesting.
But for what it is,
yeah,
I thought it was excellent. I really liked it.
I hadn't seen it, but it was interesting when you said you liked it so much, because I was like, isn't that like straight to DVD movie that no one saw almost 10 years ago?
Maybe, yeah.
I think it might have got a release, but I was just like, it's one of those kind of, it wasn't like a big movie or anything.
So Ethan Hawke delivers a really great brooding performance.
He's always good.
John Travolta delivers a performance.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not a movie that's going to be, you know, people in 1,000 years are going to be looking at as like the Western.
Yeah.
But like I said, for what it is, for I guessing how cheaply it was made, I don't know what the budget was. I liked it. Okay. You know,
I mean, look, it's easy to be entertained when you have such a low bar like myself.
Yeah.
No, but I thought it was just fun. You know, like again,
James
I don't
has those high bar blues.
I can't really talk too much about it without spoiling the film, so I won't. But good one. Then I watched the last movie I'll talk about was Possession on 4K.
Oh, yes, baby.
I had never seen it. And let me say, Sam Neill, what a sexy young man he was.
He was almost James Bond.
Well, no, like I only know Sam Neill, like the youngest performance I've seen Sam Neill in might have been Jurassic Park. I can't remember. I've probably seen him younger. Yeah. But to see him as such a young man, with like a young man's vitality, a young man's frame, I was like, wow, this is interesting. And he had such intensity. And even
that movie is so
the lady
intense.
Who plays the
Isabella Gianni,
yeah, what an intense, crazy performance.
I talked about it last Spooktober, remember, and I said this movie's insane. I love it. It's so
over the top.
Yeah, it's like the most intense
nightmare
of a movie. Yeah, and it's just like, what the hell?
It's like elements of family drama. Elements of a thriller. It's got Lovecraftian horror in it.
Sci-fi, X-Files, weird stuff, conspiracy stuff.
I don't want to spoil it.
I think I've said last time that's like Marriage Story on crack.
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
So much fun. Oh, fun's the wrong word.
Yeah.
It's very engaging.
Yeah.
Just awesome performances. Like Sam Neill. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Fantastic film. Not a very nice dude though.
Sam Neill.
Yeah.
In real life?
No, in the movie.
I was just like, what? Is he one of those actors who...
I can't remember the character's name. That's why.
You don't ask him for a photo kind of?
Because they don't say like...
No, that was me misinterpreting.
No.
Yeah, he didn't word it correctly.
No, because I can't remember the character's name. That's why.
You heard it here first, folks. Sam Neill is an a-hole. Sam Neill, we love you. Please come on the show.
Yeah, just like nasty characters. No one's particularly redeemable in this film.
That's the thing. Is like you don't really take sides with the fight. You know, the divorce, quote unquote.
And also, like no spoilers.
I guess we should.
The ending was nuts. Like that last scene.
Yeah.
I was like, it's like The Omen.
Yeah, I was just like, what the. I can't. It's been a while since I last talked about it.
But what was your no spoilers? But what was your interpretation? Like the end? What was the end supposed to signify? Like the actual meaning of that scene without giving away the scene. I
don't know if I can say without spoiling it.
It's like the end of the world stuff. It was awesome.
Well, that's part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's end of the marriage and end of the world kind of coincide. That's the whole kind of thing with the weird. Anyway, but yeah, I can't remember because when we last talked about it. But I don't know if I said this, but it's like it's not a movie like for the faint of heart or like. That's easily recommended.
The scene in the subway.
Yes, it's insane.
Was disturbing.
Yes,
and like not only like the message of the scene, but just like the way it's delivered, the screaming.
Yeah, Isabella Gianni gives like the most intense, insane performance I think I've ever seen.
It's not one for my mum.
That's the thing, but it's like even like horror movies.
I'm pretty sure she remembers it. So I'm like, no, she's probably thinking of something else.
Yeah, I doubt she's ever seen this movie.
Unless her dad dragged her to see it or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But I was just thinking of like, some people are really into gory horror movies and stuff, and you can say, oh, did you watch Possession? But that's not really, it's not the same thing.
It's not. What I mean? It's not the gore that necessarily makes it an uncomfortable film. It's the delivery.
Yeah, and it's also...
It's everything working together to provide a disturbing
It's also just
scene.
kind of, it's unconventional and mysterious, and nothing really makes a lot of sense.
Because
they don't spell anything out.
No, they don't hold your hand. So all the world building is you get what you get through the dialogue, and then you have to piece the rest together yourself.
Yeah.
So there's a lot you don't know.
There's no explanations or exposition, not a lot of exposition.
Yeah, as much as I want to know how it all came to be.
Yeah. But that's part of why I love the movie, because I was like, they don't tell you what the hell is going on. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
it just reveals something and you're like, what is that? Crazy movie. I love it. I have it on 3. I have 2 Blu-ray. I have 2 different Blu-rays and the 4K.
Yeah, shout out to Umbrella for doing the Lord's work with that one, bringing it out on Blu-ray for
4K
for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah,
I mean, it goes back to what we were saying last week.
It's also on Broly, which is available for free.
Last week or the week before, the Australian company is stepping up.
Yeah.
Good times.
Do we have to go to a break?
We do have to go to a quick break. We'll be back right after these short messages. You are back on the Tuesday review. Callum's just finished talking about all things Possession with Sam Neill. Was that all you had for us, Callum? All right, moving on to James.
All right. This week, I would like to talk about the last couple of movies I saw at the cinema, which I talked about last week, or the week before, where I was just like, I'm just going to see movies. I'm not waiting for anyone. I'm not whatever.
Also, quick shout out to Alan, who approves of our use of the soundboard this week.
Oh, yeah, that was perfect.
He's
transition.
Obviously listening at home. Thank you for listening, Alan. We appreciate you.
You gotta leave that in for the podcast, right? The music sting. Yeah. That's good.
All right, sorry, James. Back to you.
So one movie I was really excited about is the new Japanese Godzilla movie, Godzilla Minus One. So I think I've talked about on the show before, I'm a huge Godzilla fan. I've seen all the Japanese movies, all 30 of them or however many there are. I'm a huge, huge fan of that kind of genre. We've talked before about the kind of 60s, 70s, sort of the old monster movies where it's a guy in a rubber suit smashing models of buildings and stuff. I love all that stuff. Unfortunately, the American Godzilla movies over the last 10 years have been garbage, and I do not they don't exist for me. So when this new Japanese movie was announced, I'm like, oh, this is a real quote-unquote Godzilla movie. Not that I don't think Hollywood could make a good Godzilla movie.
They don't want to, Jim.
They don't know. We're in the franchise superhero CGI era.
It's not the time for a good,
They'll never give the time of day to an actual good interpretation. So Japan has to be the one, and they're the originators of it, so it makes sense.
I haven't seen them yet, but have you seen the new Apple series episodes?
No, because that's part of this new American MonsterVerse or whatever, and I'm completely...
Apparently it's good.
That's what I've heard, but I'm not interested. Yeah. Like, that they just... there's the new trailer that came out for Godzilla and Kong teaming up, and I was just rough, what? This is my problem with American movies. Like,
King
Hollywood.
Kong has an Infinity Gauntlet kind of glove.
Yeah, he's got a robot arm or something. I'm like, what the hell? Anyway,
it's very weird.
Yeah, so
not in a good way.
So yeah, when the Japanese are like, it's us, we're here to save Godzilla. Gojira, yes.
In the technical pronunciation.
Yeah, no, that's how you pronounce it. So I was just like, yes, I was really excited for it. But I was going to watch it when it came out, yeah. But then IMAX had showings of it. Ooh. So I went online and I was like, as soon as the tickets went on sale, I was sitting at my computer. I was the first one to buy tickets for the Saturday session. And I got the three best middle seats for me and my friends. And the premium section at the back,
nice,
with the recliners, which I've never sat there in IMAX before because they're usually sold out, and they're also more expensive. But I was like,
but Godzilla's your jam.
Yeah. So I went to see that at IMAX, and honestly, incredible movie. Godzilla Minus One, out of all the Japanese Godzilla movies since the original one in 1954. This has got to be one of the better ones.
Do I need prior knowledge?
No, and that's exactly what I was going to say next, is this is a reboot sort of set in its own continuity.
Because Godzilla is intimidating. Because there's all these different casts of characters, all these different timelines, all these different versions.
So the thing with the old movies is, it's like you watch the original and then you can just sort of pick any ones you want. It's not really important. It's just Godzilla returns and then a monster comes and they fight and then they get defeated and that end. You don't really have to watch them all in order. And it's like, I can even give you a list of the quote unquote best ones. But I do know, because you guys aren't really into monster movies or Godzilla movies, but I think Godzilla Minus One is a perfect... I think you guys would really like it. And I think it's also a really good Godzilla movie for newcomers. It's a really good movie on its own, but it's also just a really good Godzilla movie, and you don't need to know or have seen anything else. So I think it's also a really good movie for fans like me who want a good Godzilla movie, and this delivered.
It's really interesting. I've been seeing a lot of talk about this online, because apparently the budget was the budget was 15 million, but like people have been saying, you also have to understand that the CGI in this film is amazing, apparently.
Yeah, it is very good.
And people saying, oh, well, look, Japan can do this with 50 million, but Marvel can't do this with $1 trillion, bazillion dollars. I do want to say, though, apparently Japan's working conditions for their CGI artists is bottom barrel.
Yeah.
So just because it cost 50 million, they squeezed 50 million out of $15 million. You know what I mean? But apparently, the word on the street, the streets of the Tweedle, is that this movie is, like you're saying, is top tier.
I mean, it also helps when you don't have to worry about Hollywood accounting. If it's made in Japan, there might be some sort of
I don't know what their
which might have some better books.
Yeah,
I know Kojima liked it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, no, it's so good, and I'm a huge Godzilla fan. I also loved the last Japanese Godzilla movie was Shin Godzilla in 2016, which I love that movie. But that's a movie that it's a bit harder to recommend because it's very Japanese. It's all about bureaucracy and the government sort of figuring out a plan to defeat Godzilla. And it's directed by Hideaki Anno, who did Neon Genesis Evangelion. And so it's got that kind of weird element to it.
Sounds like a good time.
It's an awesome movie. I love it. It's one of my favorites. But it's harder to recommend to people, especially people who aren't into Godzilla. But Minus One is much easier to say, everyone needs to see this movie. It's awesome. It's one of the best Godzilla movies, one of the best science fiction action monster movies since a while. And honestly, it might be one of the best movies of the year.
Oh, wow.
I was thinking about it, and I have to check what else I've watched.
It's a heavy myth here, James. I don't know, man.
That's the thing. I was just like, that's what I was about to say.
Cool this year,
no,
especially.
that's what I was about to say. Is like
I have to refer to my notes before we put that down on paper.
Yeah. I was thinking. I was like, there was Barbie and Oppenheimer, and then Godzilla. I'm like, wow, this top three.
Scrapper,
and then I was just like, oh wait, we went to MIF, and I saw like 20 movies that I loved all of them.
Perfect Days.
Yeah, Perfect Days and Cobweb and all these movies. But yeah, I honestly, Godzilla Minus One is awesome. And also what's awesome about it is that it's the first Godzilla movie to be a period movie. It's set in the 1940s, just after the World War II. Japan is just recovering, and it's about soldiers returning home, and
add something different to it.
Yeah, but it's really well done, and so like it's just a good kind of post-war drama. And also mixed with a really awesome monster sci-fi action disaster movie. And you kind of care about the characters and like what's going on. And also it's got really cool monsters destroying things. So it's like the perfect Godzilla movie, the perfect big monster movie. It, like I said, it puts those American movies to shame, which isn't hard to do. But it is just a perfect...
Even the 1990s one?
The 98 version is fun, but it's not,
Yeah, no, I'm just joking.
Yeah. but like, it just goes to show, like, this is how you do it. The Japanese will, like, hold my sake. We're going to show you how it's done, America. Such a good movie. I think...
Hold my Asahi. What are you talking about? It was right there, man.
Well, I was going to say beer, which is the thing, but then I'm like, no, it's sake. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. Yeah. That would have been funny. I'm going to write that down as the episode title.
Hold my Asahi. Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's either that or FBI open up.
Yeah, FBI. We're going to be using that a lot on this show. The soundboard's going to get a lot of use. Yeah, so I think it's also cool because, me and my friend Ed are big Godzilla fans, so we talk about it sometimes, and our friend David came with us, and he's into it a bit, but Nathan and Callum aren't really into it that much, so I can't really talk about it, or they don't really get it when I'm talking about a specific Japanese kind of era of movies or whatever, but this is good because I think you guys, I can show it to you, and you guys will be like, "Oh, this is awesome."
I'll definitely watch it when it comes out. Yeah,
it's 100% worth watching. And if you're listening to this, it just came out, and it's got a sort of not a wide release, but it's got a decent release. So if you can see it on the big screen, it's worth it. Not just for the visuals, but for the sound.
Yeah, because that's one thing with all these monster movies and Godzilla movies. Sound is a big part of it. Destruction,
especially because they got that classic Godzilla roar and that classic Godzilla theme song. Mwah.
Nice.
Just amazing. And it just goes to show you how strong that original movie is, because that was 1954 and I can't do math, but what's that, 70?
Yeah, 70 years, just about. Next year be 70 years, 69 years.
So nice. We need a nice button. Yeah.
Don't be rude.
Okay, thanks, Donald. The Cheeto Benito. What was I saying?
The classic roar and all that.
Anyway, the Godzilla Minus One, amazing movie. Check it out. Even if you've never seen Godzilla movies, or you don't really like Godzilla movies, or whatever, like awesome action monster sort of, awesome movie. Second movie I saw recently, was Bottoms, which we talked.
Don't be rude.
Oh, come on, don't overuse it.
I'm not overusing it.
I remember we talked about a couple months ago, maybe, and we were complaining
Callum's going to be like, "You're ruining it, man. Stop it."
Yeah, he's gone too far.
Yeah.
We talked about a couple months ago, I remember, and we were complaining about, which we always complain about. Oh, these movies come out and they don't do well. No one sees them because, the landscape has changed and everything comedies just go to streaming now. And we brought up Bottoms and we were like, Callum was talking about how it flopped and no one was going to see it. And I was like, I don't even have time to see it. I really want to see it. And I realized it's because it came out in the US like 3 months ago. And it's just come out here now.
And what's Bottoms again?
It's that comedy about the two girls who start a fight club at their high school. Well, Callum brought it up, I remember, a couple of months ago. But anyway, in the context of that discussion was that when a movie like just a straight comedy comes out, people don't go to the movies anymore to see it. And then Hollywood just releases like superhero movies,
negative reinforcement. Yeah.
And it's just like, well, it's so it's so expensive to go to the movies.
Yeah.
And it's this negative feedback loop or something where, and it's also a part of another problem that I think we've talked about on the show before, where movies come out in America months before they come out here, and it's like all the buzz and all the discussion and everything
down by the time
has already happened, and so by the time we get it, it's just like, who cares kind of thing.
I think Callum's thinking about the Billy Eichner movie Bros. That bombed as well.
Yeah, I mentioned that a while ago.
Yeah, but that was even that was at the start of the year or last year. Yeah.
That also came out super late here.
Yeah,
and they were wondering why no one
then
saw
Billy
it.
Eichner complained about it. He's like, why is it not seen?
But it's a lot of movies. Like there's a whole heap of other movies that just came out here that I'm like, this came out like 3 months ago,
or it's already on streaming and then it comes out the movies.
Yeah,
like,
and it's just like, what? Yeah, and so this is it's like I thought Bottoms had already come and gone here. Because the whole discussion of it had already happened in the US. Can you look up when it came out in the US?
Yes. Let's see.
But anyway, it just came out, and I was just like, oh, okay, I'm not going to miss it this time.
Yeah, it came out August the 25th in the United States.
August? That's insane.
Yeah.
So now we're just getting it.
So we're getting it 4 months late, essentially.
Yeah, and it's like, I thought I'd missed it. Luckily, I didn't. It comes out here, and like I was like, I'm trying to be good. I'm trying to save money, but I'm like, I want to see this movie. I'm going to go. So I went to see it. Hilarious. So freaking funny. It's like, it's hard to explain without spoiling it. I mean, you could probably watch the trailer and get a sort of good idea.
We'll start with what kind of comedy is it?
So that's sort of what I'm getting at. Is you watch the trailer and you're sort of like, this is kind of like a female Superbad kind of edgy kind of humor, but like the girl's perspective kind of thing. And we had Booksmart a couple years ago, which people described that as sort of the sort of female Superbad or something like that. And this one has elements of that too, but it just turns it up to 11. And what I love most about this movie is that it operates in its own sort of cartoonish, sort of absurd reality, where it's not concerned about being a grounded sort of teen comedy, like high school comedy. It takes place in this weird sort of...
Is it almost like Scott Pilgrim meets Superbad?
No. It's not as stylized. But it does... it does have that sort of heightened thing where it's just like everything that happens is kind of crazy and would never happen in real life.
But they take it for normal.
But yeah, in the movie, it's like, this is just how, like all the high school football players, the jocks, they always wear their uniform no matter what, no matter where. There's like the principal will do an announcement on the
PA,
and he'll just start like using slurs and swearing at people, and it's funny, but it doesn't make sense in reality because this movie isn't concerned with that, and that's what I love about it, is that it's just a silly, heightened, absurd comedy, and it was hilarious. I loved it. It was great.
Good one to watch when it comes out.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, that's really fun. And of course, like we were just kind of talking about and what I've talked about before, like you don't really get a lot of comedies at the movies anymore, or if you do, they're kind of like whatever. And you get the streaming ones and they're all kind of bland, and there's like Ryan Reynolds in whatever, or it's like they're all kind of the same.
Yeah.
So it's cool when like this movie these kinds of movies come out. And Alan said something bad, didn't he?
No.
Okay, I just saw you looking at your messages.
No, there's nothing different. I got nothing.
Okay, now he's going to say something bad.
Yeah, now he's going to...
Because he's going to look it up.
So now he's going to message in. And
he's going to look it up and say something inappropriate. Don't be rude again.
Oh, don't be... All right, Alan.
Don't be rude.
My phone's over here, so even if he sends me something, I'm not going to be able to see it, all right?
Yeah, so Godzilla Minus One, 5 out of 5. Bottoms, 5 out of 5. I love them both.
Ratings.
Yes,
nice.
I love them both. Really great movies. I want to watch them again. I want to own them on physical media. So that's, I guess, a 5 in terms of my rating.
Nice.
Jason Goes to Hell, 0.5 stars.
Yeah, a minus 5.
It gets half a star because the people that worked on it would have tried really hard.
Some of them.
Oh, if we have to do that, then we have to give every bad movie some points. But there's some movies where, But yeah, so I guess from now on, if you follow me on Letterboxd, or if you start following me on Letterboxd, Channel Drifter, all one word, I'm going to start trying to do star ratings and little reviews and just sort of get better at it and get out of my own head, because I don't really like to arbitrarily assign points. And I don't really like to write down, the cinematography was really good. But I'm trying to sort of get better at sort of...
It's about what things evoke in you.
That's the thing, and
it's not like,
it's different.
Don't get me wrong.
That's
I've sometimes write reviews on Letterboxd, and sometimes I'll put something like the lighting is really nice. You know what I mean? But often it's about is it a philosophical script? How does it make you feel?
But even if it's not a philosophical script,
it's you know what I mean. That's the type of thing.
Like how I feel about it. So 5 stars means I loved it. I'm going to watch it again.
In terms of when you're
that's
writing a review, it's like the things that it evokes, the things it does interestingly. That's the things you focus on. Because anyone can write, the score's nice.
You're doing a personal review. You're not doing an analysis.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, I like to overanalyze things, or that's just the way my brain works. But I also don't like to, on the other hand, I don't like to boil things down to a sort of...
I think when
paragraph.
If I'm looking,
you got to meet in the middle.
Yeah, if I'm looking at a review on Letterboxd, ultimately my main kind of feeling when I'm writing it or thinking about it is, how did it make me feel, and is it intended to make me feel that way?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to talk about it on the show because it doesn't deserve our attention, in my opinion. But I watched The Monster Inside, which is a Disney Plus Hulu kind of documentary on a person I'm not going to talk about. He doesn't deserve our attention. But I think they made a documentary about this person the wrong way. Killer. No.
Okay.
He's never killed anyone. But
he's just
He's just a really bad dude. We'll talk about it off air. Yeah. I'm not going to dignify this person.
Okay, yeah.
But again, they tried to make a documentary about this. It's on Disney. If you want to look it up, look it up. But it's like they end up kind of just giving the guy what he wants, attention. Like they didn't do enough kind of analyzing this person and to why he does what he does.
So in this case, regardless of it being a technically good movie or whatever, you're like 0 stars. This is garbage.
No, because they didn't achieve what they wanted to achieve in me personally.
Yeah.
So I hated it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that.
So for me, that was an accurate review.
Yeah, but that's because I get in my head about it, and I'm like, well, I'll watch a movie and I go, well, I didn't like it, but I guess technically it was good, so I guess it's like a 3 stars.
Yeah, but again,
and I'm like,
that's the argument between analysis and review, your personal review.
Yeah, so that's why I'm trying to, like I said, I'm trying to gut reaction. Just what do I feel, and what do the stars mean to me at that moment? Not necessarily overall. Exactly. And they can always change. And
exactly.
Yeah. I
reckon that's all the time we got for tonight, boys.
Yes.
Thanks for listening, everyone. thanks for checking in, Alan.
Yeah.
Please like and share the Tuesday Review Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Newsmast,
yep.
And YouTube at Tuesday Review.
Yeah.
AU.
Follow us on YouTube. We're slowly releasing.
Well, look, the video footage, like with the interviews and more complicated stuff, will take a little bit more time as we're learning. But the older classic episodes, I'll try and get out at least 3 for a week.
And hopefully once we're up to date, then we can release the current episodes on YouTube as well, because some people like to listen that way, and it opens up a different, audience to find us.
Hit that bell, like and subscribe, comment,
share.
Comment on the old episodes. Let us know if we're wrong.
Yeah,
or in hindsight.
I guess if we get any engagement, that's good.
Yeah.
Tell us we suck.
Yeah, or if we're wrong about a review, we'll own up to it. I'm not going to go back and listen to every single episode.
I know, I'm the type of person who thinks about reviews we did years and years ago and goes like, I shouldn't have said that. Oh.
Listen. If you listen to these on YouTube and you disagree, comment because we'll see it, and then we can.
It's okay for you to be wrong.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be back next week. Adios, cousins.